Thank you for joining Around the Blockchain. Today, we're asking the question, should CZ spend time behind bars? Also, not only that, we're looking at how many ETH to make a millionaire. Move over, Tootsie Pop. And then last but not least, we got H-Bar community up in arms over a fake, but is it kind of real, BlackRock rumor. Let's go around the blockchain. All right, we got phenomenal guests on today, so we're just going to get right into it. First, we got famed author Thinking Crypto. Thinking Crypto, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, DZ. Great to be here. The bull market is still going. You got some of these altcoins popping off, so another great day.
And just like Kennedy's book on Fauci, I heard they're suppressing you from the New York Times bestseller list. We hate to see it. Also on today, we have Paul PUEY, founder of the Edge Wallet. Paul, how are you doing today?
Doing great. As was mentioned, yeah, we're kind of still in the bull market. Got some hot topics to talk about today, and a lot of stuff that relevant to a conference I just went to in Amsterdam, ETH, which I think has a lot of takes relevant to this statement by Kathy Wood we'll be talking about.
All right. It's not just red candles, it's red lights and windows out there. And then last but not least, we have Ryan. Ryan, welcome to the show. A lot of people are probably going to ask about the climbing wall, so let me go ahead and get it out of the way. When is the last time you climbed that wall?
It's been within the week.
Okay,
most
that
of the
is an
time
acceptable
it's
answer.
a gymnasium for local stray children, but yeah, this is where all the kids hang out, bounce and play.
It is better than the treadmill I put together, put in my basement, and I've used 0 times. All right, well, let's talk about CZ. Speaking of being locked up in a basement, they're trying to lock up CZ. If I could share this, some saying, okay, the prosecutors, they're saying the Binance founder should be jailed for 36 months, and he's expected to be sentenced very, very shortly. Today is the 24th, could potentially be sentenced on April 30th after pleading guilty to money laundering in November 2023. This is in relation to basically giving Americans the chance to buy some cryptocurrency. And not only that, $50 million fine. So quite the big fine right there. There he is rocking the same haircut as myself here. So they had a quote. I have a quote from the prosecutors here. Given the magnitude of Zhao's willful violation of U.S. law and its consequences, an above guideline sentence of 36 months is warranted. Now, let me go ahead and just get into throw it to you, Thinking Crypto here. Their language here, willful violation of U.S. law. Do you think there's any willful violations of U.S. law, or was there maybe unclear laws? I know we're trying to mind read CZ here, but what do you think was his thinking servicing American customers?
So I remember using Binance when it first launched. And look, this was the Wild West of the crypto days. And it wasn't
not to cut you off,
Binance.
what did you download Binance for? Most of us get Binance to buy that random altcoin that we can't buy elsewhere. I'll say I downloaded it for Coinbase. What was your coin, Thinking Crypto? Or I'm sorry, Cardano.
Oh, yes, it was Cardano, it was XRP, it was many of these other tokens, which were not easily accessible in other exchanges in the United States. And, back then you had to use Bitcoin as the trading pair, right? You couldn't do fiat. So it was not easy. And I don't blame CZ. Look, they were a global exchange. They were targeting many different markets. And I can't imagine what it was like having to deal with so much success and so many users coming on your platform. With that said, CZ surrendered. They're getting the $4-point-something billion in fine. They don't need to put him in jail. This is not a fraud case. This is not Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried, of course, has to go to jail. But I think they need to take it light on CZ here. Collect your fines and tell him to stay away from crypto. And I think that should be sufficient.
All right. Yeah, they definitely want to keep him away, but they can't keep him away from his Twitter account here. We're looking at CZ's X right now. He is not worried. This does not look like, say, a dogecoin. This doesn't read like a Terra Luna collapse or FTX collapse. It's tweeting out smiling faces, talking about Giggle Academy, settling on a logo. So he's just living his life as is. Now, Paul, what are your thoughts on this situation? CZ doesn't seem to be giving it much thought at all.
Yeah, I think he actually, generally speaking, got off pretty easy. 3 years is a drop in the bucket relative to a lifetime. Let's obviously compare SBF there for 20, 30 years and others for life, in dealing with crypto. However, I still am of the stance that I don't think he did anything wrong. wrong. I think a lot of these anti-money laundering rules were developed in an era where money had boundaries, and in an era where money does not have boundaries, it's pointless to try to create restrictions. Obviously, he had a website that was accessible on the global internet. All you needed to do was connect to an IP address, and you now offered a service. Sure, he could KYC everyone, but if you are in a jurisdiction that doesn't require it, then you shouldn't have to. Or you could also IP address block a certain region. IP addresses and where they are located are not 100% accurate. And then VPNs exist, Tor exists. And so to mandate that a company outside of the jurisdiction of the US not support US users using technology that can't even guarantee it, to me is entirely silly. And outside of the scope of US law, he didn't entirely, depending on which other country might complain, he didn't really break any other laws. So fundamentally, I don't think he did anything wrong. And so he shouldn't have been fined. He shouldn't go to jail. However, just looking at what the US has done to other people that could be perceived as doing similar acts, I think he got off relatively easy. And so that's kind of my take on it. So he'll be back. And I think, as you can see, he's all smiles because I think he knows that relative to the standard, he kind of got off pretty easy.
And not only that, he looks young. He looks viral still. So, 3 years later, he's not going to be coming out with a walker. Ryan, something Paul said really made me think there. And he said, money has no boundaries. Well, anyone can log in to Binance, you boom, or use a VPN, you got your IP address elsewhere. But what are your thoughts about international CEOs being charged by U.S. authorities? Should we have jurisdiction to even arrest them in the first place?
Not knowing the specifics of the case, what this tells me is that the next big trending buzzword, if it's not already, is likely to be regulation. And I feel like these are some of the first shots fired at high-profile targets. And the way that I look at crypto at this point in time is that there's big narrative swings, either to the upside or the downside. And I feel like these are dominoes stacking for this next, in my opinion, a move to the downside driven by fears of regulation, driven by CEOs and people that are running these, sometimes legitimate, sometimes not, but all, I think, in the eyes of current law, susceptible targets. So I think this is high profile. There's probably not a lot of substance to it, but I don't know how much it really needs to have the desired kind of psychological impact on the marketplace.
Ryan, did you ever use Binance, say, like in the 20 teens or in years past?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure out all the VPNs and the loopholes to get at the things that I wanted to get to. And
do you remember the first coin? What was the first coin you bought on that exchange?
I mean, it was probably XRP or...
That was not my first coin on Binance. First coin I ever bought was XRP because I learned about this cool thing called Bitcoin, and I saw the price disparity, and I said, "Oh, I know where the upside is." Paul, do you remember your first Binance interaction? What was the coin that you bought if you ever used it?
So ironically, you asked me last, and I've never had an account on Binance. Period.
Oh, okay.
I think I've avoided self-custody exchanges. Pretty much the last time I used a self-custody exchange was 2015. And I've gone entirely either DEXs, swap exchanges, or fiat on and off ramps. And plus,
I'm shaking my head,
I get paid in Bitcoin. And so from there, I can convert using various other tools and not having to deposit into an exchange, trade, and withdraw. And
Love it.
So
love it. Hit
I
that
do
like
not
button
remember because there isn't one.
Hit that like button. That is true crypto right there. All right. Well, speaking of true crypto, we got someone, an asset manager. She bleeds crypto. I'm talking about Cathie Wood. She just had a bold proclamation here. Holding this many Ethereum is going to make you a millionaire. What is the number she said, though? Let's look right here. Holding 6 could make you a millionaire, according to Cathie Wood. If we scroll down a little bit, let me go ahead and blow this up just a bit. She has got a prediction for 2032. So we're not talking about this bull run, but $20 trillion market cap. If we still have 120 million tokens, you were looking at $166,000 per ETH. And if you were to do the math there, 6 of those, roughly 1 million. Currently, 6 ETH will only be 20K. So we're seeing a very, very nice upside there. So theoretically, moonshot, but she seems to support it with not totally insane numbers. I mean, 20 trillion, That is a lot. Now I'm curious. If we go to CoinGecko, the entirety of the crypto market cap today, if we were to look, it is $2.5 trillion. So we're looking at ETH being roughly, less than 10x the entire crypto market, including Bitcoin. Now, thinking crypto, let's game this out. If 6 Ethereum in 2032 makes you a millionaire, what does 1 Bitcoin cost at this time?
Man, I love Kathy Wood. I've interviewed her and she's great, but this number is out there. 6 ETH will make you a millionaire. I find that hard to believe. It's possible, but it's not highly probable. But to your point and to your question, Bitcoin would Bitcoin have to be like near $1 million or something?
That was my back of the napkin math. At Moonshot, you usually get maybe 7 ETH equals 1 Bitcoin, maybe. And so if 6 equals $1 million, it could be 1 Bitcoin is $1 million. So you're saying $1 million. What is your target, your Moonshot target even for $1 million Bitcoin? Are you, if you're just guess, I know it's really hard. 2050, 2040, could it be 2020s or 2030?
I don't think so. I don't think 2020 or 2020s or 2030. I think maybe closer to 2040 when I believe Bitcoin will be close to be fully mined, if I'm not mistaken. I remember my years correctly. I think as it gets to that point, and I believe central banks will hold Bitcoin eventually, it will get to that point. But we've seen these really large price predictions, and they never really come to fruition, right? But we are going to go to higher highs. We are going to see higher prices by 2030. Will we see $1 million Bitcoin by then? I don't think so. I think it's going to be maybe 500,000, half of that.
All right. Well, let's talk about half of that, because gold's current market cap is about half of that 20 trillion. Paul, I mean, gold right now, roughly 12 trillion. It fluctuates with daily price movements, but can Ethereum surpass gold's market cap? Can Ethereum have a $20 trillion market cap while gold has a roughly $10 trillion market cap? Or will gold by that point be a $50 trillion asset? What are your thoughts on the gold and crypto landscape with some of these moonshot numbers?
So I tend to take a utilitarian view on the value of an asset. Gold has a small amount of utility from the viewpoint of jewelry, electronics, and whatnot. Bitcoin and ETH could have a tremendous amount of utility, but I think they're hitting roadblocks. So I think their cap, or at least one of them, has a cap at around gold, right? Which you're right, about 12, maybe up to, I think I'm seeing like 15 million. 15 million.
It's up to 15.
I'm sorry,
Nice.
Trillion.
Oh, wow.
15 trillion market cap. And so I think that's their upside. That's like the kind of absolute top cap, unless they achieve a level of utility that exceeds gold. And while it has some level of utility exceeds gold, like for example, the scaling issue in Bitcoin, I think hinders that significantly. So you're not going to get this 10x, 100x multiple of gold market cap. And then Ethereum is hitting some of the similar issues. They're kind of going down very, very similar narratives. And especially with Ethereum having to rely on half a dozen different L2s in order to scale, the usability just kind of crumbles. And this is me saying this as a person who, in a way, monetizes the fragmentation of Ethereum and Bitcoin and many different chains. So while as a founder of a company that enables people to convert between these different chains and assets and whatnot, and that becomes obviously something monetizable to us, I still want to be honest that I think it's not a user experience that is mass adoptable to give a high level of utility that exceeds that. I would sooner think that a chain, an asset that is able to provide the true utility of like L1 scaling, where I'm not converting from this chain to that chain to that chain, or having to go into like a Lightning network and provide liquidity in order to be a useful currency and asset, that has a better chance of 10xing the market cap of gold.
All right. And a good correction there. Yeah, $15.6 trillion. I felt like it was just a month ago. It was 12 trillion. But yeah, gold has been printing some pretty strong green candles lately. All right, Ryan, I want to ask you about Ethereum for this bull run. What are your thoughts for Ethereum this bull run? And can it climb the wall over 4,800, the previous all-time high? When do you think that will happen?
Yeah, when I look at Ethereum, I feel like it's gaining up to Bitcoin in terms of its kind of independent nature. But my feeling is that there's still Bitcoin is the leader. When that starts to flag, things rotate into Ethereum. So I think what we're likely to see is when Bitcoin tops out, whenever that is, there's going to be a rotation that happens, and Ethereum is going to probably do its own kind of distribution. And I think that, especially with the Cathie Woods comment and the 6 to make you a millionaire, I used to be really dumbfounded by these big name analysts that represent respectable firms making statements like this, until you start to think like the old axiom, the most likely cause is the right one, and what's the motive behind what people are saying. And so with Cathie Woods and all of this, it to me is marketing. She's out there, who tells you that 6 ETH is going to make you a millionaire? Someone who wants to sell you Ethereum. And so with all of these, it's cyclical with the market, but unfortunately, I think it gets people, even though there's like some degree of baloney in it, there's some degree of exaggeration. It's still, well, what if it was half of that? What if it was a third of that? And it gets people, FOMOing into the market at really difficult times. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Ethereum is going to 2x or 3x or anything crazy like that from here. I think we're going to see Bitcoin kind of have its moment, and then Ethereum's going to follow, and then it's going to rotate into other smaller cap projects and rinse and repeat.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Came off a little bit like a car salesman. For a second, I thought she was launching a YouTube channel. This many ETH to a millionaire. I was like, hey, that's totally what we would do. All right, well, let's talk about HBAR. I know there's some barbarians in the chat. Let me know if you are a HBAR holder. Let's go ahead and pull up the price chart, because this is going to really tell the tale here. This is the 24-hour. We have hit the point where we're slightly down now by 2%. You can see it did have a nice little pump. At one point, it did more than double. So you can see right at 8 cents and some change, and then hit around 17 cents for a nice little high. Got really close to 18 cents. So HBAR, why did it have all this insane movement? Well, it was off this rumor. If I just read this screen, misinterpretation of a BlackRock announcement, and then fell another 25%. That number is slowly gaining at the moment, but it lost a lot of the gains when the investors realized BlackRock was not directly involved. And here they are making fun of Mason versus Lewis here. So this was the tweet that people are upset about. This is not an official BlackRock announcement, but they said, today we witness real-world asset history's BlackRock's Treasury Money Market Fund is tokenized on Hedera, with our partners marking a major milestone. So a lot of people took this as an official announcement from BlackRock. They even had a whole thread here, a whole string of posts. But people are quite upset. In response to the criticism, the CEO, he released a statement. It was indeed Archak's voice to put the fund on Hedera. So he's saying, hey, guys, it was their choice to put this fund on Hedera. It wasn't us. So BlackRock has tokenized. People are upset with that phrasing there. Now, thinking crypto, we can get into optics of communications. Is it poor? Is it bad? But I want to ask you about the vibes that this created. This gave me very strong bull market vibes, because off this unsubstantiated rumor, HBAR, which is not a small market cap. Let's just look at it right now. $4.5 billion market cap, and that thing doubled like it was nothing. But what are your thoughts on why it pumped so hard?
This is why bull markets are fun. There's a lot of liquidity. That we are in a uptrend, and in a bull market, it's very easy to move the price, right? Any narrative, any rumor, any type of news like this, even if the marketing team at Hedera played around with the wording, will send the price and increase FOMO. So this is why I love the bull market, of course. And it's fascinating how this played out. And, when you have a big name like BlackRock, if they are dabbling in anything, adopting any blockchain, people are going to pay attention, and speculators are going to jump right in. You're going to see leverage and all these things start backing up these narratives. So I'm an HBAR holder, so I'm bullish on the project in general, because if you look at who's on their governing council, it's amazing. Google, IBM, and much more. The HBAR Foundation marketing team obviously played with the words here. But don't miss the fact that the company, Archak, so if I'm pronouncing it right, actually tokenized on the Hedera blockchain. And also Aberdeen, which is in the UK, is the largest wealth manager in the UK. They are tokenizing as well. So while it may not be BlackRock directly, there's some very good things happening here.
All right, good things happening. Well, I want to know more about the chain itself. Now, Paul, it kind of has this kind of vibe about it. It's partnered with a lot of people. It almost looks like a Polygon. Here, I just want to list some of the names here. This is from CoinGecko, so I don't know what's confirmed. Boeing, Deutsche Telekom, Google, IBM, LG Electronics. So a lot of people, involved with HBAR, a lot of biz dev development here. Good partnerships. I mean, what are your thoughts on HBAR? I mean, can this continue to be a partner with these big corporate giants, or were they just kind of, leaning into a bull market phase?
And so the HBAR technology it's a DAG. It does have some scalability that does compete with other blockchains. It achieves that with notably a compromise of decentralization. A lot of the validators are these big companies. And I think that's the partnership that you saw, are companies that have the size and infrastructure to be able to run the validation sets for Hedera are the ones that contribute into it. Now, with respect to why the price was so easily able to pump, without knowing the exact numbers, so someone please correct me on this. While it is a $4 billion market cap currency, I believe this is a proof of stake coin, which may take some of the liquidity off the market, which means that it doesn't have a lot of active liquidity, so it would take less to actually move the price, both up and down. So that's one thing to factor in. That could generally be true of staking coins, where people actually go and stake them, self-custody. They don't have them as readily available to trade. Unlike Bitcoin, which doesn't give you a whole lot of benefit in staking. There's not a lot of earning opportunities. And so therefore, a lot of people will just leave it in a custodial trading account and then can move it very, very quickly. So that's a little recap on the technology. We did evaluate HBAR before integrating it in Edge and looking at other DAGs. It was one of the few that actually looked like it could work at a compromise, but a reasonable one, because there was enough of a validator set to kind of consider it distributed enough. But be forewarned, a lot of them are these fairly large established corporations.
Are we letting the fox in the hen house?
Maybe, or maybe a little bit of a Trojan horse. Get people that that now install and hold HBAR, hopefully in self-custody, that then can move on to some more decentralized solutions. It could be that as well. Or HBAR itself starts to get more contribution from the individuals and the people. And hopefully we scale Moore's Law. People can run validator sets and don't have to be gigantic companies. So that's kind of the question in hand. Can it actually go and be more distributed as some of the more top blockchains are, and not have to make such a big compromise? But overall, I'm the overall 51% plus fan of what HBAR and Hedera as a protocol are doing.
All right, stepping in the right direction is what it appears like. All right, now, Ryan, I want to ask you about how do you feeling about whether or not we are in that super bullish phase right now? Because there's an adage, in a bear market, good news doesn't move the market. Well, this was barely good news. This was a rumor of good news, and it doubled a $4.5 billion asset. What is your thoughts on HBAR's future, given how quickly it just did a 2x?
Yeah, I'm enjoying my order in the speaking queue here, because I feel like with Thinking Crypto and Paul, Thinking Crypto is talking about the market side and saying he loves the bear market the bull market, seeing these spikes happen, and then Paul is talking about more of the fundamentals and the project and the partnerships and things like that. And so I think it's a really interesting case study at how enmeshed those two are. That there's the marketplace, which a lot of times can be moved in crazy ways just by people getting positioned ahead of time. Who is in on that tweet, who is positioned to capture those gains while everyone's kind of FOMOing in at the last second. There's a whole market dynamic that's happening that I feel in a lot of cases is often undermining or hurting the projects and the communities that are actually trying to build technology that does something useful or meaningful in the world. And so I think it is a symptom of this stage of a market cycle where rumors can have such not even a rumor, but like a fake news. A lot of this stuff has been fake news that just pumps the price. It's a reliable, predictable marketing tool. And so I think that just as kind of a bystander and watching these things, it seems really compelling and exciting to have these technologies developing as they are. And it seems really dangerous for people that are maybe looking at the fundamentals when the technicals are just showing a lot of the shenanigans that happen when people are paying as much attention to Twitter and YouTube and other outlets as they are. And news, even fake news like that, can, pump something up and just as fast turn it back around. So I'm sure we'll continue to see those types of little sporadic poppings off happen in different communities, different projects, different coins in the coming months.
No, that was a good point of bringing up. Yeah, someone probably traded off of this, Ryan. I think that's a fair assessment. In fact, I'd be flabbergasted if no one opened along or bought some H bar, then maybe tried to sell the top there. If they can catch bench players in the NBA doing parlay bets on a random website, I think they can catch some H bar insiders trading off of this news. But folks, that is all we got time for the episode today. I really appreciate you guys joining, but I want to go ahead and throw to Thinking Crypto, because you know what? I'm working on a book myself. I know how difficult it is. Sometimes just sitting down and typing that first word is tough. So Thinking Crypto, I want to give you a chance here to plug your felled tree here.
Sure. Thank you, DZ. Everyone, I wrote a book called Rethinking Crypto, The Crash of FTX and the Rise of Safer, Stronger Digital Assets. It covers crypto's past, present, and what the future may look like. One of the things I often run across is when talking to people, they have this perception that Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX were the ethos of crypto, right? That didn't Sam Bankman-Fried steal Bitcoin and crash Bitcoin, right? And that's their perception, the average Joe and Jane. So I think education is needed here. And I break down crypto in layman's terms, explaining the difference between a bad actor and the technology in the asset class. If you self-custodied Bitcoin and your altcoins, FTX didn't do anything to you. You weren't affected by it. And that's the beauty of crypto. So I also talk about what are the investments do's and don'ts. And then the regulatory battles with a scumbag regulator and Gary Gensler and the SEC. And then the Bitcoin ETF race with BlackRock, Fidelity, and all the Wall Street players. I talk about tokenization, CBDCs, and much more.
All right. And for Crypto KJ, Tony, can you confirm you're streaming from a spare bedroom, correct?
Almost. I'm actually in a closet in a booth at Station NYC, Station 3 NYC. It's actually a Web3 hub. I actually have a book signing event here on Tuesday,
awesome.
April 30th. Yeah. So
all right, great stuff. So, yeah, closet, not a water closet, KJ. I see what you're doing. It's just bright. It's just the paint, okay? It's a little off-white. All right, well, folks, that's all we got. Make sure you check out Thinking Crypto's book. Make sure you check out Edge Wallet from Paul. You hear how smart he is. I can't imagine, who better could preserve your assets there. And then we also got Ryan. Go check out his content. Show him that ATB love. Let's make sure we all go follow him. So in the description, we're going to have links to all these people. So check it out. That's all we got. And folks, we'll see you in the future.